And, you know, joining us, if you didn't hear the first segment, I'm continuing a conversation that I'm having with Richard, citizen journalist. And, listen, Richard, one of the things that has just been bothering me, and really I think more lately than ever, is just all these people now who shoved the lying narrative down our throat about all this COVID crap, whether it's the masking, whether it's the, putting up the plastic dividers, whether it's the, get needles in the arms, get needles in the arms, get needles in the arms, all the people who tried to force this stuff on us. And I'm with you, sir. I did not wear a mask. I did not get the jab. I think yours and my mentality about this thing is very similar. I think our listeners that are hearing your voice right now are very similar to us, if not exactly the same. But now all the people that shove this down our throat, they're like, oh, well, let's let bygones be bygones. Let's bury the hatchet. Let's just kind of move on, forgive and forget, right? I mean, what are your thoughts on that, having seen it with your very own eyes?
Yeah. Well, we can carry this with the COVID narrative for sure. What you're talking. Listen, our country, the United States of America, Donald Trump says it's in sharp decline right now. It is. And it's in sharp decline from not just the out in the real world standpoint. It's in sharp decline of people being able to think on their own and actually use their own brains, because the brainwashing starts when you're very young and everyone went along with this narrative and all these other things. But I will tell you, me personally, the biggest problem we have with the country and the world is there's no accountability. It is time to pull this vaccine off the shelves. It is time to hold people accountable that went on. I mean, I can remember, even songs that are still stuck in my head. Get the vaccine, get the vaccine. It's absolutely nuts. And these people that just want to say it was okay. I mean, I was just talking to someone here, and they were telling me a story about how they lost work. They lost their job. They lost income. I lost my job. I was the number one salesman in the country for my company. When I took my mother to Mexico on a President's Club trip. We got back, COVID hit, and then I lost my job, making well over six figures every year, because I said I'm not wearing a mask. I like breathing oxygen, and I had egg in my face for 7 or 8 months. Oh, you're gonna kill your grandma, Richard. You're gonna, and the thing is now, it's still going on. I had a huge megaphone, and I used to go in grocery stores like Whole Foods and Trader Joe's, and I would just turn the megaphone. I got the biggest one you could buy on Amazon, and I turned the megaphone up as loud as I could, and people were standing in line outside 6 feet apart, and they're letting 3 people in at a time. And I'd walk right in the door, and I just start screaming, "You are sheeple people. What are you doing? Think about it. Use your brain." And they did all that to us, and even to this day, I still. So I'm not as mean about it as I was, because I was pissed. I was like, "Wake up!" I was just banging on the walls and screaming as loud as I could to anybody that would listen. Like, this is really, really bad. And look at the aftermath now. I mean, we are still in aftermath, and it hasn't even hit as hard. It's still coming at us, not in the form of, they're not even taking down the plastic dividers at the checkouts at the stores in Washington, D.C. area. They've rolled out scanning technology that scans the palm of your hand already at Whole Foods in Washington, D.C. and other places, and Amazon's doing it too. And so they're still rolling all the New World Order, and you get the World Economic Forum that's still talking about depopulation. We need people to wake up. We need people to say, we need accountability here. We need some justice for our grandparents, for the mental devastation, for the division. I have friends that lost their marriages over this. That I don't talk to parts of my family because I wouldn't get the vaccine. And now the truth is coming out. And what we need is a movement that says, we've got to pull the vaccine, like 6 months ago already. We've got to pull it, and then we got to hold these people accountable. And that's where I'm at on it. There's got to be some accountability. Our whole government system, and it's not just the government, it's so many systems in place just rule with an iron fist, and there's no accountability. And we hear down the average consumer that's out here going about their business, they don't get a say anymore, and they can just have their rights trampled on, and there's no accountability. They don't know what to do. And so we need some sort of movement, some sort of leadership, some sort of solution that says, you know what, we're not dealing with this anymore. We're not going to be ruled by you people anymore. We're not going to take orders from you, and we're going to hold you accountable for what you did to us, not just in America, all the way around the world. No one's been held accountable that I can think of.
Yeah, well, Richard, I did an interview with a gentleman by the name of Scott over a year ago. It was over a year ago. And I will never forget, this guy had a background of actually being a CIA operative. He had done all kinds of things all over the world. And then he became more and more awakened to what was happening. And so anyway, long story short, I remember he said in studio, sitting probably in the same chair that you're sitting in right now, he said, it is time for heads on stakes. And listen, as a radio professional, I cannot advocate for that. I can't do any type of a call to action, but I can remember sitting in my seat and thinking, this man who has seen so much more than I've seen is saying it's time for heads on stakes. And then today in my show notes, as I said right before the break, my plan was to just have you on for that very first segment, and for this second segment for me to do by myself. One of the things that I had pulled up is that this day in history in 1649, King Charles I of Great Britain was executed by Parliament. Now, don't anybody misunderstand what I'm saying. I am not making a call to action here. But what I am saying is it does seem like, the history of the world, the history of America, we were a lot better at executing justice than we are now. I mean, people are literally getting away with murder, Fauci, all these other ones, people that gave treatments that they knew were going to kill their patients, but they gave them to them anyway. Elderly people who had to die alone in the hospital because their loved ones were not allowed to come in and see them in their final moments. I mean, where is the justice? What has happened to us as a people that we no longer execute justice on people that deserve to have justice executed upon them? There is no call to action in what I just said. I'm just wondering, what is the final straw before people will rise up and say, you know what? Not only am I the resistance, but I am coming after you. I mean, and what I mean by coming after you, of course, is in the ballot box. Let's not be confused by any of this. But I think I feel the same way as you do about this.
Well, let's not listen, you're giving me goosebumps. I'm so glad I'm on your show today. I'm so glad it's happened, because I appreciate the way you're speaking, because listen, treason is a real thing. Yeah. Treason is a real thing, and it's punishable by death in this country. So I'm not calling for it like you, but I am calling for accountability and trials. There is so much blood on people's hands that are in the mainstream that are still getting microphones. That people listening to this show have lost people. Whether it was the initial treatment or through the vaccine, I have friends, man, lots of them who have lost people, loved ones in their lives. It was caused by them. They knew it. So I don't know what you call that. And this has been going on for a long time in our country. There's a guy.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I served, it was funny, I was just talking to my wife about this last night because, I happen to be a military veteran. I served 10 years on active duty. Many of our, listeners are veterans as well. But, I raised my right hand and I swore an oath to defend the Constitution.
Me too, brother.
From all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Me too.
And today, we've got more enemies domestically that we need to worry about than I think we have, internationally. Anyway,
100%.
Hey man, that music means our time is up. Thanks for visiting with me. I look forward to talking to you again real soon. We should make this a regular thing.
Okay, brother.